I think it's time for another rah-rah session, and I am going to title this one, Don't Let Anyone Spiritually Punk You. Don't let anyone spiritually punk you. Yeah, here we go. This is another spiritual download, and this is a fiery one because this is one that's going to step on some toes, make people scratch their head, make people think, yeah, it's gonna hit hard. But I gotta say what I gotta say. What I mean by being spiritually punked, and some of you already know this, be careful of how you're being taught in regards to your faith, no matter what it is. This world is made up of many faiths, many denominations, many type of ways that people practice their spirituality or their religion. And we have to be careful. I did a previous audio about common sense not being so common. But I kind of left out this one particular thing because I didn't know exactly the words to use to deliver it. But basically, some people are being spiritually punked because they're mistaking long-suffering for a test. Some people are saying, oh, well, I'm going through this because it's a test. There could be two reasons why you're going through some bullshit right now. Two reasons. One of them, it could be a karmic situation. Whether you got involved in a situation because of ignorance, pride, whatever the case may be, you got involved in a situation that did not match with the path that you're supposed to be on. And now that you're trying to get out of it, and you are not strong enough to get out of it the way you should because your energy has been zapped, a lot has happened. So you're suffering right now. And it's taken a long time, hence the term long suffering. So instead of just saying, you know what, this might be the karma, and just going to the Creator and saying, look, okay, I know I got myself into this. I got to get myself out of it. Some of you, and I'm saying some, because I don't want nobody saying she said all, because there's a difference between some and all. Some of you, instead of putting your pride aside and admitting your role in the situation, you just chalk it up and say, oh, well, you know, the Spirit is taking me through this test. This is a test. No, it's not. In this particular situation, if you knew when you got involved in that situation that it was questionable, it may seem right, but you knew in the back of your mind it was wrong, and the consequences are, they're dire. The chickens have come home to roost, so to speak. Karma is doing its thing in your suffering. Don't turn around and go to the Creator and try to play this role like you're a victim all of a sudden. You're long suffering. Come on now. Come on now. Admit to it and say, look, you know what, I had no business doing that. You know how many people that I know have been involved in certain situations all their lives, and they keep suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering and suffering, knowing that the situation they got involved with was something they had no business getting involved in. But the minute that they admit to the fact that they had no business getting involved in it in the first place, that is what the Creator wants you to say. They want you to admit that you had no business doing it. That would be the first step. All of a sudden, that so-called long suffering, things ain't so rough all of a sudden. See, it's what, back home they call it a come to Jesus moment, Whatever you want to term it. But yeah, if it's a karmic situation, karma going to do what it's going to do whenever it wants to do it. So just because it catches you at an inopportune time, don't turn around and say, oh, well, I'm long suffering now. And then you get all spiritual and whatnot and say, well, the Lord is going to get me through this, that, and the other. No, because the Lord ain't had nothing to do with you getting involved in that in the first place. No, God, regardless of what it is. Regardless of what your religion is, I'm sure there's probably some scripture or doctrine that was against what you did before you did it anyway. You chose to do it. Karma stepped in because that's what karma is supposed to do. Karma handles that, and karma's going to do what they want to do on their own clock and not yours. So if you're long suffering, you're just going to have to long suffer, and you're going to have to just wait that shit out. That's all that is to it. That's how universal law works. And universal law supersedes secular religion. It supersedes written dogma and historical artifacts. Look, universal law supersedes all that. All that other stuff is below universal law, because universal law has its own time and its own clock, and it's going to do what it's going to do. And unfortunately, in some beliefs, they don't think universal law stands for something. Yes, it does. So what you do is you turn around accepting universal law for what it is. You want to turn around and run back to your little belief that, oh, this is a test and this is long suffering. No, it's not. It's karma just telling you don't do that shit no more. So that's the first scenario. The other scenario, when you're long suffering, it may not be suffering. You perceive it as a long suffering. And it actually is not. You could be in training, some kind of spiritual training. You could be conditioned for a greater call, a higher calling. It just feels like suffering because you're not familiar with the changes that are going on. People sometimes misinterpret lack of comfort as long suffering, and that's not true. It's tension. It's a form of tension, but it's tension in a good way. See, when you get to the point where you have a relationship with your higher power and you decide you want to do X, Y, Z, if there's a certain task or a certain thing that you want to achieve, you see that, you probably have visions of it, you probably have goals and everything else, but you don't fully understand what you have to go through spiritually, mentally, emotionally in order to get that. And sometimes that can be a little uncomfortable if you're set in your ways. Now, don't get me wrong, age has nothing to do with it, because I know some people that are older than me and they're more adaptable than I am when it comes to certain things. And on the flip side, I know some younger people than me that are just rigid no matter what you say to them. So it's not so much the physical age thing. But this second group of people get it twisted too. They take this long suffering thing and they just look at it as this painful process, blah, 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 when actually it's just tension from the spirit realm to help you conform to this new thing that you're going to get involved in. I'm going through it now. You know, some days I have where I'm like, what am I doing? Because we live in a world where everything's tangible. Okay, I have a better spiritual relationship with my Creator, but I'm still on this earth. And there are some days where I'm just wiped out and don't have any energy from everything, but Spirit is telling me go do so and so. And I'm saying to myself, gosh, I'm tired. You can rest later, go do so and so. It's one of those things that I'm going through right now. And I'm beginning to understand. I'm like, okay. If this is part of the process to accomplish what you need for me to accomplish, then I need to go ahead and do it. We all get tired sometime. But don't be so tired to the point where you think it's some kind of long suffering and that spirit is against you and everything else, because this is the point where a lot of people lose faith, unfortunately, because they don't know the difference. If you have a goal in mind and you have asked for some kind of change in your life, the change is going to have to be made inside you sometimes in order to get the change you want, whether you like it or not. So I kind of hope this clarifies things, but the bottom line is this. Universal law is just. It doesn't matter what religion you're in, what culture you're in, or anything else. Universal law is just. It's been just for all these millions of years, and it's going to be just for millions more. But their clock is not your clock. So just respect that, accept it, and keep that spiritual connection strong no matter what. Everything is not long suffering. Seek the wisdom and the guidance that you need in order to make it through. Don't be so proud, because pride has a lot to do with it too. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Peace.